now we're going to go into the Petal Perfumes and Forest Colognes of Living Libations. Just going to open this up and just get a little... This is my favorite one. Well, I have so many favorites. That's all I keep saying is favorite. They're all amazing. This is one that really appeals to me. It's called Radiant Earth of Deep Delight. I love all the roots and all that earthy kind of scent. And this has vetiver roots and miti, attar, sandalwood, cardamom, vanilla. And when you put it on, what I experience, I love about this is that it's really earthy, but it's also really fresh. It has this fresh smell to it, and I get so many compliments when I put this on. Maybe, Nadine, you can tell us a little bit more about this amazing creation.
Yeah, that's a really sweet one. It's also men and women wear it, but you know, it's sort of designed for men. It doesn't matter, but it's really neat because you got the really earthy rogue roots of the vetiver with the sweet vanilla beans and like accent with cardamom. So it's just really deep, nourishing, and it grounds and then totally uplifts. So it's just it's a really popular one for sure.
And one of my favorite things to do with it is you apply it on like this, but actually the best place I like to put this is
on the hair for sure.
In the hair, and then you just kind of like you know, just kind of get it in there.
And days it lasts. And it lasts
for days. It's incredible.
A really great one to go with the Radiant Earth also is just like the vetiver poetic pits, or the classics poetic pits also just really suit it.
Yeah.
And that we talked about before, but it is it's sandalwood deodorants. There's nothing diluting it, and what happens is that it's just that really, the sensuality of the sandalwood brings out like the best aroma in every person that wears it, no matter who's wearing it. It just really is a stroke of poetic pit genius for each
stroke
person.
Of genius. A one stroke. It's incredible.
And then also, like on the more forest cologne side, we have the Trees Please. I don't have that here. We have the Trees Please, which is a mix of all the different tree aromas from our land with vetiver, and that's really just. It can also be used as sort of a house thing as well, a house.
People use that for the cologne too.
Yeah,
the singing cedar smudge.
The singing cedar smudge is a cologne for sure. That's a really neat one with the different cedars together. Cedar, sandalwood. What do we put in here? Douglas fir. That gives it a bit of a fruit thing. Here, I'll put it here.
So like,
there's also the singing cedar smudge. But this is the singing cedar. This is the singing cedar smudge, and we have the sacred sage smudge. Is what I'm saying.
It with all those the trees are so great because they go right into the lungs and they just really open up freshness. And that's like I was saying earlier, is like you can take these creations anywhere with you, and bring the forest. And this really brings in fresh air and clarity.
Well, here's a thought too. I mean, you've reminded me. We live so much in a world, obviously, where all of our adornments and body ablutions are just like decadent and beautiful and pure. But you know, it does remind me too that like of a classic commercial perfume cologne industry. I mean, unfortunately, what you have is all these petroleum byproducts and these chemicals that give people allergies and are toxic, and have obviously no joy factor for the lungs.
No.
And so when you reminded me that these really help like open up the lungs and aid breathing is amazing. And what's really interesting is in ancient Egypt, the high priests were also like totally adept in perfumery and combining and distilling. So it's just that there was a time when the plant ingredients and what was seen as good for the body were one. And it wasn't really until the advent of synthetics near the turn of the century where botanicals started being separated from and going into, there was a more of a synthetic. They started separating, and then the ancient art of perfumery became syntheticized. And that's interesting too. I mean, because plants aren't totally predictable, or you don't get the exact same aroma from year to year, from distillation to distillation, from season to season. The idea too of the concept of the synthetics was like, let's guarantee how it's going to smell. And so really the perfumery and what we've gathered here in each bottle is kind of like a fine wine, when you really are getting a variety from year to year on the grape or the texture or the aroma. And that's something that we like to celebrate, the differences in distillations. We really love that.
That's great. And it also, when we put on these oils, I found that, because when I first met you, I didn't know anything. I knew that, you know, I could tell that the synthetic-y smells were kind of funny and stuff like that. So I never really, I kind of stopped using colognes and stuff altogether. But there's actually an accumulation and even a buildup that happens from the use of, and I found that these perfumes and these oils, I found they started clearing up that kind of buildup that was on you. Your body starts alkalizing.
Everything starts smelling great. Your clothes, your home, everything, and you'll be a delight to everybody around you.
And it cleanses you too,
and
like
then,
the lungs and stuff. It's actually healing for the lungs.
And it's uplifting, so it doesn't just make you smell good.
Yeah.
So let's do up all the more sort of feminine ones. We don't have all of them here, but we have the Roses Shining Everywhere, which is just like such a gorgeous color. This is about, we have 5 different roses from around the world. There's the Indian rose, our South African rose, Egyptian rose, Bulgarian rose, and we combine that with the bergamot, the citrus peel, and the vanilla beans. And this is just pure luxury, and it's roses layered upon each other. And then really you're just sort of ensorcelled in this rose aroma. And it's really lovely. Roses Shining Everywhere. We also have Night Flight to Venus. This was rare and hard for me to make because sometimes it was hard to get the Orange Blossom Absolute. But we just made a really great batch. It's jasmine, Orange Blossom Absolute, tangerine, hay. We have a steam distillation of hay, vanilla beans, and a special bark. And it's pretty trippy and totally hypnotic.
This was created around that whole astrological Venus transit time, and I remember we were in Arizona and you pulled that out.
Yeah, and the recipe remains.
Incredible.
This is Night Flight to Venus. We also have, gosh, what do we have? Oh, Lavish Abundance is another really gorgeous aroma. It's vanilla with lavender and citrus. So we have that one, Roses Shining Everywhere, Night Flight to Venus. Oh, Moccasin Flower, that's a really fun one. That's rock rose with jasmine and ylang ylang and grapefruit and vetiver. And that's neat, it's kind of got this amber note, which brings me actually to amber. Let's just talk about that, because through all my years, the 18 years I've been working with essential oils, amber comes up a lot because it's kind of this like resin that people have found in health food stores, and it looks kind of natural, and there's this thing, but amber is actually, it's like a fossilized resin, and amber can be ground up, but it doesn't really have an aromatic quality. So unfortunately those sort of oily amber perfumes and that powdery stuff is totally synthetic. It's a man-made material, and so what we can do though is gather different real botanical essences to create an amber aroma, and the moccasin flower definitely hints of that because the rock rose absolute has these amber notes, and that's always what we're going for, is like we make really potent perfumes that are totally uplifting and will be a pleasure to you and all those around you.